Breakups are hard, especially when life and the world pulls you into two different directions. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, nothing lasts forever, even if you are the strongest duo. Hello and welcome to another Jujutsu Kaisen video. I want to talk about love. More specifically, the love between Geto and Gojo. I'm not here to create some kind of ship between obvious lovers, yet I would like to say that their love can be considered the modern day Romeo and Juliet. Well, I'm here to take a little bit of a deeper look at what I think is the most depressing part of this series. We'll obviously have to go back to the beginning where Geto and Gojo are still in Jujutsu High and are seen as the strongest. For these two, they are the top of the hierarchy of power due to their abilities and special grade rank. And we all know this all changes when Dad of the Year, Toji, shows up and wipes them both out. Someone who is considered to be, in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, a nobody that can't use cursed energy. For this man to single-handedly destroy the strongest sorcerers of today is an incredible feat. You can say he had prep time and caught Gojo and Geto by surprise, but that would be downplaying how incredible this feat is. Yet, what we want to look at here is the outcome of each character losing to Toji. Gojo never stopped pushing himself at every moment, constantly doing what he can to survive. With his will and his instinct allowed him to recover from being stabbed in the head, learn reverse curse technique, and the concept of purple. Yet on the other side, you see Geto, who after losing kind of stays stagnant in his development, and I do think that he heard Toji say that he is lucky for his curse technique because he would have killed him there and now if he didn't want to have to deal with all the cursed spirits within Geto. It is from this point I believe Geto and Gojo split up their ideals but take aspects of each other with them before parting. For Gojo's case, I believe he took the ideals of protecting the weak and pushed it further to have more than one person who stood by him and creating a better world in his eyes. As for Geto, I think he took the ideas of power from Gojo, thinking that if you stand on top of the power, you're able to make anything possible. What is sad about it is that both of these friends believe that they are doing the right thing. If you look at it from Gojo's side, he believes that you have to have a stronger tomorrow for his students. Then you have Geto, who believes that killing all non-sorcerers and only keeping those who can use cursed energy will bring an age of peace. It's interesting to think how one fight with Toji really twisted and turned all the different ideals for both these characters, yet both of these friends drifted apart due to them not seeing eye to eye, even though they didn't agree on the same concept prior when they were younger as well. This made the divide permanent. For Geto, I believe that he took a look at his ideals and morals, seeing a young girl killed before his very eyes, someone who wanted to be free from her duty as a vessel and just be a normal girl. You have Toji, a non-sorcerer, completely beat him. The group of non-sorcerers clapping at the death of a young girl because they believe that Tengen should evolve and not need a vessel. Then you just have his entire world just crash. He is depressed and doesn't know why he's even protecting them in the first place. Why does he believe that these horrible people deserve to be protected when they are the weaker beings and doing horrible stuff? Geto begins to hate his morals that he stands on, and it isn't until he sees his adopted daughters in a cage, abused and accused for such terrible things, that he finally snaps, believing that it should be the other way around. The worthless humans should be in the cage while the Jujutsu sorcerers should be standing outside of the cage. I always wondered what would happen if Geto had the help from his friends. If he was able to lean on Gojo and Shoko in his time of need, would it have changed Geto's outlook on the world? Do you think that Gojo and Shoko would have been able to help Geto out of his depression and see the world differently than he did before? I don't think even Gojo would have been able to save Geto. My whole heart says that I want Geto to be saved and be there by the side of Gojo and Shoko as they both build up the next generation of Jujutsu sorcerers. Their abilities, their ideals really tore them into two different paths that didn't allow them to keep being friends. The end is solidified with the KFC breakup. Yet one of the most iconic lines in all of the series is, "Are you the strongest because you are Satoru Gojo, or are you Satoru Gojo because you are the strongest?" And this line can be analyzed from hell and back, but for me, I think it's the conversation that leads up to this point that is the most important about the breakup. Seeing that Gojo has the ability to achieve Geto's goals, and that Geto sees this as complete justice and wants to put all his effort into achieving this goal. Very powerful and heartbreaking all at the same time. Geto has made up his mind and wants to walk down this path, and even his last remark to Gojo really hurts to be his final word to his friend for a very long period of time. If you want to kill me, kill me. There's meaning in that too. Seeing that they both look at the world of Jujutsu and see two totally different paths for themselves. Also seeing that Gojo and Geto are in totally different realms from each other despite being best friends. Later we see Geto in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. If we're going on the proper timeline rather than the anime release, Geto tries to obtain Rika for himself because he believes that she will allow him to achieve his goals. If that is honestly true or not, that's another conversation, but what I want to look at is Gojo and Geto's interaction with each other. You can see Geto trying to be happy and friendly to see Gojo, but obviously we know why Gojo isn't particularly happy to see Geto with Yuta. I like to think that Geto sees Gojo as a wall in his path that he doesn't want to knock down, and Gojo sees Geto as a criminal he can't turn in. So it really isn't until Geto attacks that Gojo is forced to stop Geto. Yet even Geto's death wasn't aggressive. It was kind of beautiful. You have him put up against one of the strongest curses, which is love, lost to it, and then tries to flee and runs into his best friend. Here, Gojo lets Geto know that his family is safe and that they all got away, allowing Geto to have some peace of mind before killing him. Gojo leans in and says something to Geto, and you can see his eyes change from hearing this, and he laughs and he is killed. Still to this day, we don't know the exact words of Gojo, but we can break down the last words of Geto. At least curse me a little at the very end. It's been years since I last read that, and I only get great sadness when I think about it. I like to believe that Gojo had no hate for Geto and respected him a little bit for going along with what he believed in. At the end of the day, Geto is Gojo's best friend, and they were on top of the Jujutsu world, still trying to understand that world. It is the same world that drove them apart, and it's the same cruelty that has one ending the other's life. Geto's adopted daughter even knew how much Gojo means to Geto. Even though Gojo was the one to kill Geto, they understood the love Geto had for Gojo, that even through their differences that drew them apart, he was his only friend. That is so fucking sad, man. You have these two characters that want nothing more than to be friends with each other and do what's best for the world. These children were forced to see the world for what it is, unforgiving and dangerous. The love goes even deeper than that. When Gojo was going to be sealed, he called out for Geto. This being the first time Gojo has seen Geto since his death. Geto's body responds to Gojo trying to choke out Kenjaku. Kenjaku states that this is the first time that this has ever happened. If we want to play along with the current narrative, I like to think that Geto's body is responding to Gojo, attempting to help him. The final part of this would be Gojo always thinking about Geto even after his death, wanting to kill Kenjaku and Sukuna on the same day that his best friend died, which I know he states it would be just easier, but I do want to believe that he chose this because he wants to make sure his friend rests on the same day that he has killed him. The way of correcting things that should have happened that day. The final moments of Gojo where he's in the afterlife talking to Geto has to be where I felt the most depressed. Not because Gojo is in the afterlife after losing his fight to Sukuna, but the idea that Gojo wanted Geto there with him. To say his only disappointment is that Geto wasn't there to slap him on the back. Then you see a tear form in Geto's eye as he tries to play it off. That just crushed my soul. Geto is the first person Gojo sees when he goes into heaven, and it's the one person that he wanted there more than anyone else. With this final moment, you can see Gojo laughing it up with his friends as a younger version of himself, where things were just simpler. He and Geto were the strongest, and he can enjoy his youth without much care in the world. I think Gojo's death was done very well in my opinion. I think it was beautiful and shocking as it should have been, yet I think it's the beautiful ending to the character that needed to become a weapon to fight Sukuna. Even after both Geto and Gojo's death, I think it becomes even more sad. Geto being used to complete Kenjaku's plans. Geto, even after being killed by his best friend, couldn't rest in peace. Since Geto had such a powerful technique, I do see the value in Kenjaku using it. Being able to absorb curses and use their technique is insanely strong. Then you have Yuta using Gojo's body to fight one more time. I love the discussion that Yuta had with everyone about Gojo willing to become a monster that the students needed. I think it's like seeing the world around them that couldn't allow these two to just die because their power was needed to keep pushing Jujutsu world forward. I wanted to conclude this video with what I think Gojo's final words to Geto was. I think at the very moment he knew that he was going to have to kill Geto, he bends in and tells Geto, I hope we can still be friends in the afterlife. Because even after all that Geto has done, all the people he has killed to get to where he is today, he will always be Gojo's best friend, and nothing will ever change that. I just find it heartbreaking that these two friends were torn apart, but always have that love for each other regardless of what happens. Thank you for making this the end of this video. I would love to know what you think about Gojo and Geto's relationship. Is it tragic? Is it beautiful? Or is it just meh to you? Let me know in the comments below. I have been your bestest bro, and I'll see you when I see ya.